Okay.
Um, Rachel gave out the wrong link. She gave out the link, the guest speaker link. So we've got some people who are joining us live on the panel, but I'm only going to let us in. I'm also
Okay.
broadcasting to our page. So let me just make sure. Oh, goodness. I'm about to run out of juice.
Oh man, I just had to get
Our
all my
phones.
charged, my laptop charged.
Let's see. We are live. Awesome. Great. All right. Let me just put this at the top. Make sure we've got sound. Yep. We are got sound. All right. Perfect. All right. So, Jazzmine, welcome again. So, for those who are on the broadcast, I am broadcasting inside of the group live. Rachel did give out the wrong link. She gave out the link to the guest speaker. So, you guys are showing up. Hopefully, you can see. If not, I would join the Facebook group inside of the inner circle and you can see everything just clearly there. We have with us Jazzmine Douse again from Amawaterways with part two in our two-part series about this amazing, amazing supplier that specializes in river cruises. So super excited to have you back with us, Jazzmine. It was great information the first time. I had just only hoped the second time you came back that we would be actually able to go on a cruise. But as it is, the answer is still no. But as soon as we can, I am booking up my trip to go on you guys' cruise. So welcome again. I'm glad to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Sunday. It is a pleasure to be back here with you all. It was great. It was great being able to speak with you on the first round. And thank you for inviting me to come back for the second round. How to sell AMA, right? And what it's all about and ways to really boost your river cruising sales. And so we do have some PowerPoint slides that we put together that I'd love to go over with you all. And of course, if there's questions, we can definitely be sure to address them. But I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And what happens, Sunday, when I share my screen, I can't see you anymore. So if you do want to, just hop in and say anything, just jump in because I can't actually see you speaking because I'm sharing my PowerPoint slides.
No problem.
Okay. All right. Just a sec. Okay.
When you hit the share, bring it up. I don't see it. Maybe you have it. Hold on. Let me just make sure I'm not missing it. No, I don't see it yet.
You don't see it yet? Okay. Okay. Let me actually hit the share. Okay. Go from the beginning.
Okay. You are sharing. Perfect.
Okay. All right, selling river cruises, best practices to boost your sales. So excited to be here to talk to you guys about this. But I like to always start off with why take a river cruise in the first place, right? That is the question. A lot of people don't know about river cruising. And so it is, having you as a travel expert and for you to be able to tell them some of the really great points about river cruising is a great way to start to build a rapport and to really just build up on your expertise. So river cruises are exciting when you think about the destination. So we talked a little bit about it on the last one, but specifically in most of those cities grew from the banks of the rivers. So that accessibility that you have on a river cruise is unlike any other. It really makes for a river cruise to be the best way to see those types of destinations. So if you know that your client has their eye on Europe and some of these quaint cities or even some of the bigger historical cities, river cruising is a great way because your river cruising ship goes right through those rivers. As we said before, your ocean will take you to the countries, but your rivers will take you through the countries. Now, again, as we talk about, just how accessible these cities are, it's because you are on that river cruise ship and the fact that you can actually just disembark and walk right into the town. Like, how special is that? Is to knowing that you don't have to worry about that additional transportation. You get to spend a lot more time experiencing and exploring and indulging, and a lot less time worrying about all of the logistics. And then, of course, when you think about a river cruise, it's a full package. So when you think about the full package, you got your dining included every day, you got your champagne, wine, and beer during your meals, you've got the sip and sail cocktail hour every night, you have entertainment, you have wellness classes and fitness opportunities, and you have these numbers of shore excursions off board the ship ashore. It really creates for a great value. It really makes for a great value. So it's really that all inclusive experience and really that one stop shop for you as a travel advisor, which is the reason why you should book river cruising. I also like to always point out the unpack once. I think it's something that we kind of skip over and we don't talk about it a lot, but I think it's something that's special because again, you talk about that leisure time and you're nearly able to double that leisure time. And that's because your river cruise ship is your floating boutique hotel. And so now that transportation that you're taking to get from A to B is a river cruise ship. And it's not just transportation just for the means of transportation, but that transportation is actually a journey the entire way. So I always like to say you get to unpack once and then allow the rest of your journey to unfold right in front of you. Kind of a little play on words there with that packing. And then the no seasickness. I know a lot of you all are probably already familiar with ocean cruising, and it's one of the questions that come up. And it's one of the things that you can say that you can really forego on a river cruise. There are times when the ride is so smooth that you don't actually know you're sailing until you look out the window and see that there's scenery passing you by. So just a couple of reasons why I like to say why I take a river cruise. I love this image here. It's the Alma Magna in Passau. When we talk about those authentic experiences and having those shore excursions in every port. In this particular port in Passau, you have the option to go to St. Stephen's Cathedral, which you can see those two towers there. St. Stephen's Cathedral has the largest organ in Europe. So people know these little historical facts. So you as a travel advisor, knowing these facts, knowing the different excursions that we offer throughout the day is also definitely a great selling point as well. Now, we talk about what a river cruise is. A lot of the times people have a tendency to think that a river cruising guest may look a certain way and be a certain age. Now, while that was the case, I will say that that was more so the case a little bit further down the line, maybe when river cruising kind of first started, and even particularly with some of the other river cruising brands, but it has definitely evolved and changed. And so when we say who is the Amawaterways guest, we've got tons of examples here, but I always like to say it's whoever is in front of you. I think as a travel advisor, we always have some of these sales techniques. I think it's all about finding out who the guest is in front of you and finding out what they value in a vacation. And I can say that more often than not, what they value in a vacation is typically something that they're going to be able to obtain by taking an Amawaterways river cruise. And so a lot of the times, you want less crowds, a little bit more of an intimate environment. You want to really dive into the culture. You really want to stay active. Any of these things that are interesting, you can really find a way to tie it in. So I would say you can really put everyone into these categories here. You got your ocean cruiser. So your ocean cruisers, they're already familiar with the cruising mentality. They love the concept of being able to get on a ship, maybe potentially mingling with other passengers or not. It really is your preference. But then you have your active travelers, right? So those who, when they go on vacation, they're looking to hike the mountain. They're looking to take the bikes off. They're looking to really kind of keep up with that fitness routine and focus on their health. We can provide that for them. And then you've got your culinary lovers. When we're talking about a river cruise, one of the things that really makes it special is the fact that your culinary experience is just as indulgent as your offshore experiences when you're doing your excursions. And that is because a part of really getting a taste of the culture is to to literally and figuratively taste the culture. And so what we do is every stop that we make, every port that we're in, you also taste some of the regional specialties. We cook with the local foods from that region. So anyone who has that gastronomic focus and just really fascinated by that, Epicurean experience, definitely want to take a look at, those who are interested into that culinary aspect. Your wine lovers, wine and food go together. So I would say you can definitely link those together. But Europe has some of the most world-renowned wine regions. So what better way to actually see these wine regions than on a river cruise that already has pre-curated shore excursions for you to be able to taste some of these wines. And then what I also say about river is because it's more intimate, you usually have more access. A lot of these places that have been preserved over many, many years, UNESCO World Heritage Sites, those larger areas, there's larger attractions. Most people can get tickets to them. That's the easy part. But it's when you start talking about going to that the one of the old age wineries there, where you can actually sit down and speak with one of the wine owners and the winemakers and walk through their vineyard and see their processes. When you talk about those exclusive experiences, they typically like their groups to be small. And so we like to keep our groups small so that we can continue to deliver those type of experiences. And again, I think that is a huge contrast, to that open cruising mentality as well. Your multi-generational has become increasingly popular over the years. I think it's because we've added those active experiences. We have a couple of overnights that we incorporate into our river cruises. And so I think that really helps to just appeal to a very wide range of individuals. So if you have your grandparents looking to travel with their children, who are looking to travel with their children, Amawaterways River Cruise is an amazing way to do it. And one of the things that's the best about it is that because you have, sometimes up to 5 choices of shore excursions that are included, so you're not paying anything additional. When you have that many excursions, you have the ability to appeal to a large group where you can actually split up, do different excursions, and then actually come back together, reconvene, have lunch or dinner, talk about your day, and really still be able to enjoy that river cruising experience from multiple different perspectives. So now that we have connecting staterooms, triples, and quads, multi-generation is also becoming, again, increasingly popular. Repeat river cruisers, it's golden because we know that the moment you try river cruise, typically you're stuck. You never really go back to that big ship river cruising. So those repeat river cruisers are always a great clientele to attack. I would also say if you have river cruisers from one of our, what we like to call friendly competitors, it's nice to find out what they loved about river cruising, what they could see improve about river cruising, and find out if maybe they're potentially interested in what Amawaterways provides in that river cruising experience. So again, that qualification process, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Groups of all kinds, as we talked about, that multi-generational, but then even when you have a group of couples traveling together, again, it's that concept and the fact that you can split up and have all of these different offerings throughout the day, and that group can still travel together. I would like to say, I think me personally, I love to travel solo. I also love to travel with just a couple of my girlfriends. But when there's a group travel, I feel like the fun is just elevated to the max. So always something to consider, that that group business is usually typically business that returns year over year because of the relationship that group has with each other. And it's almost as if it doesn't matter where they go. It just matters who they're with. And that's really how you get them to stay with you as a travel advisor and have that longevity. And then you have your corporate incentive travel. Most people don't tap into this very much, but it's something there. So sometimes you have these corporations who would like to provide this incentive travel to their employees, or maybe they'd like to have any type of a conference. Maybe they'd like to have some type of business meeting, or maybe they'd like to do a charter or part charter. Definitely something to consider, and it's something that we do a really good job of executing because we have some great meeting space. Our attention to detail from the servers is just immaculate, and then the expectations being exceeded abundantly, I think is also something that really goes a long way when you talk about that corporate incentive travel. So we talked about why river, but why river for you? We know why river for us, right? Because we're AMA, we sell rivers, so it's obviously always going to be a great business practice for us. But what is it for you and your agency? How does it benefit your agency? And the number one I would say is that high client satisfaction. I can tell you that we probably have an average of over 99% client satisfaction. And that is something that you can't put a dollar on, right? That satisfaction really helps to create trust, loyalty, and support that can last a lifetime. Attract emissions. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. How can you? What does that look like as far as what type of money and what type of income you can make by selling river cruising? The ease of organizing groups, as I mentioned, group travel is fantastic, but group travel on a river cruise is even better because all you have to do is work with one person, one company, and we work it all. We make sure they can dine together. We make sure that they can go on certain excursions, depending on the number of passengers you have in that group. We can even pre-arrange some of those things for you. So it really makes it nice, again, when it's a one-stop shop. You can provide us with all of the names, and then we can plan that vacation for your group versus you having to worry about every single little detail along the way. And then we talked about that high client satisfaction that immediately turns those clients into amazing clients for life and that loyalty that lasts a lifetime. So we talked about that commission. So I want to talk about how you can maximize your earning potential with our specific commission structure at Amawaterways. So our minimum commission that we offer is a 15% commission on the cruise portion. So whatever you're booking a cruise, whether it be $35.99 or $56.49, you're going to receive 15% commission on that cruising portion. Now, if you decide to book air with Amawaterways, and we have fantastic contracted air rates, so most people do decide to book it with us. And again, we talk about that one-stop shop. You can call us, handle the air and handle the cruise, the pre and post land, the transfers. Then again, one-stop shop, and it just makes your job that much easier. And I think that's another reason why it's becoming more popular with the travel advisor community as well, is because of the ease of the handling of the booking process. Then you have your pre and post, as I just mentioned prior to, if you're going to spend a couple nights in Amsterdam or spend a few nights in Lucerne or Zurich. If that is a package with Amawaterways, then we do pay you out at 12% commission. If they decide that the package that we offer just doesn't give them enough time, they maybe want to add an extra night on top of the package, you earn a 10% commission on those extra nights. You decide to purchase our cruise protection plan, which is through Travel Guard, you'll get 10% commission on that protection plan that you book with us. And then if you book the Travel Waiver Plus with this, the additional peace of mind to be able to cancel for any reason, it's cancel for any reason insurance, you also receive a 10% commission in there. So really, the only thing you're not going to receive commission on are your port charges. And I think that's doable. I think that's attractive. But what does it actually look like? Well, let's take a look at it. If we were looking at a category BB, so category BB is what we call a twin balcony stateroom. So the twin balcony stateroom is the stateroom that has a full outside balcony, and then it also has a French balcony as well. So one of the balconies you can step outside. The other balcony is going to be a floor to ceiling sliding glass window. So it's usually probably that entry level of that higher tiered categories. The category prior to that is a French balcony. So that's going to just give you the floor to ceiling window. You cannot step outside. So BB is really a great place to start. We would always encourage you to try to upsell these cabins because you're on the river, right? And it's all about the journey and not necessarily how you get there, or it's not necessarily about getting there, but how you get there. And so being able to sit outside on that balcony is really an experience unlike any other. But anyways, if we're taking a look at a BB, for instance, let's say that cruise only is coming in at $11,200. Now, these are going to be some pretty accurate pricing. Melodies of the Danube for September 2021 of next year. Your commission on that for 15% commission comes out to $1,680. Okay, so that's just for the cruising portion. Now, let's say you purchase air from Chicago round trip at $1,800. That's going to be a $90 commission on the air. Say you book pre and post for $3,000 total, so $1,500 per person. That commission comes in at $360. Now you wanted to say, hey, the time in Budapest isn't quite enough. I want to add an extra night in Budapest. That's $300, so $30 commission. Your cruise protection plan is coming in at $2,000, $209 commission. Your travel waiver plus, $17 commission. So you have a full commission of $2,386, and that's by booking a single Amawaterways river cruise. So I always think it's great to kind of put that into perspective so you can see what that earning potential looks like. Now, the numbers look great, but you're like, how do I get this started? I don't even know where to begin. Well, the first place is always going to be to take a fam cruise. Right now, it's a bit difficult to embark on that, considering that no one's really sailing. But AMA is starting to look in the possibility of doing virtual FAMs where you can really feel like you're experiencing that river cruise experience. But taking a FAM cruise and being able to just experience it firsthand is always going to be one of the very best teaching and learning experiences. So I'd encourage you to do so once you are able to. And if you want, you can also sign up for a wait list right now. So the moment we open up, we can contact you so you can come on board. The next would be to acquire knowledge of European river cruising. I mean, you want to be an expert at what you do. There is a book that I would recommend. If I'm sure we're going to record this, I'll make sure to send it over to Sunday, just so you guys can have it. But it's the Berlitz River Cruising Guide. Okay, so it's the Berlitz River Cruising Guide. So the first 100 pages of the River Cruising Guide is everything you know about river cruising in Europe, from the dining to the accommodations to what do you want to see along the rivers. Why do people want to travel to certain countries? It is a great resource to get started. The moment that you have that additional knowledge base, it definitely elevates that level of trust, with your client. So definitely want to acquire that knowledge of European river cruising. Develop a target list of best prospects and develop relationships. I think with the river cruising business, it's all about gaining relationships, developing and maintaining those relationships. I think that's what it's about in general when we're talking about being a travel advisor, because having that relationship with your client means that whatever recommendation you provide to them, sometimes they'll just aimlessly follow it because they trust you and they have that relationship with you. So it's always great to start there. You want to add some river cruising content to your website, to your social media. That's how you can let people know about this new way of travel that they may not have ever have come encounter with. Learn to be patient. This is probably the best tip on this page, and it's because river cruising, people book about a year and a half in advance. It's a bigger purchase, sometimes $10,000, $15,000. So you have to be patient. You have to plant your seeds, but remember just to continue to water them. Keep them watering, and at some point they will absolutely grow. Sell and lead groups. That is one of the benefits of being a travel advisor. Not only can you sell groups, but why not be a Pied Piper? Why not travel with that group? Why not host that group? Take advantage of those perks of being in the travel industry. So what knowledge is required to sell river cruises? So we talked about, increase that knowledge base. As I provided that name of the European River Cruising Guide, it's the Berlitz River Cruising Guide. That's a great place to start. But if you ever take a look, there is a map that we have. It's a laminated map, and it shows everywhere we go, all of the different rivers and the routes. If you do not have that, I would like for you to reach out to your BDM, and they'll be able to provide it to you. I'm going to show a slide a little bit later of all of the BDMs for all of the different territories, and maybe you can write that person's name down. Reach out to them. Get this map. It is such a great resource. Start to learn about some of the vendors who sell these river cruises. So that way you can start to compare the differences. I would say that knowing that is that higher level purchase coming in at $10,000, $15,000, you really want to be comfortable with the product and feel that you're able to relay over the value of why this individual should spend this money. A lot of the times they won't think twice about it, and they're absolutely willing and ready to spend the money. And it could be something that you say that could actually end up making them change their mind. And so you always really want to stay positive. You always want to be as knowledgeable as you can, but you also want to be honest. I think that is a huge aspect of it all. If you don't know the answer, it's okay to say, I'm not sure about that. Let me get you the answer. One of the best things about being a travel advisor is the fact that you have additional resources that a normal client, a consumer does not. And your resources are through your suppliers, your BDM. They will be there to make a sale for you. So it's a really great opportunity to say, to really build that relationship up with that sales rep, so you can go to them and say, I'm sorry, I may, this may be a stupid question, but what land package is associated with Basel? Or can you even, can you fly into Basel? Those questions are okay. Get to know river cruising, become comfortable in it, especially if you know that you want this to be your niche. Your BDM trainings are golden, so always sign up for those. Webinar Wednesdays, we host those every single Wednesday. I'll share our upcoming webinar Wednesdays with you guys just a little bit later. And then we have some tools in our travel advisor portal. So you can go take AMA Academy, or you can also take a look at our travel advisor suitcase. So what are some of those best techniques and practices for selling river cruising? So if you have a website, definitely want to develop that website. One of the best ways to develop that website is to co-brand it with Amawaterways. So if you have an opportunity to do so, go into our travel advisor portal, go ahead and grab your logo and your information, put it into the co-branded form. It will generate a co-branded website with all of Amawaterways content, but it has your CTA everywhere throughout that site. So definitely a great way to just be able to send that over to your clients if you want them to take a look at the product, but also, just having a lot of great, robust content. Images and videos are one of the best ways to capture attention. Utilize your social media. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up here. Blogging, the travel advisor suitcase that we just mentioned, having that trust, partner with great vendors, and of course, taking those spams. Now, your small groups are key, and I mentioned that to you all earlier. With Amawaterways, a group is only 5 cabins, so that is 10 passengers. Can you imagine if you already have 2 couples wanting to travel with each other on a particular date? It's a perfect way to say, we've already got 4, only need 6 more. And usually people are booking a year and a half in advance. So you really have the time to continue to go after that business. Amawaterways does not penalize you for not making your group minimum of 5. So that means it is a risk-free opportunity. Why not go for it? Why not give it a try? And I want to say that one of the best ways to do so is anytime you get a booking, no matter what it's for, to always ask that next question. Did you have any friends or family that wanted to travel with you? Open the door for that. Referrals are the absolute best way to grow your business. Presentations are the best. Presentations, utilizing again your resources. You may not have the full knowledge base, but you have a resource that can provide that knowledge base directly to your client. And so use our sales team. They want to be used. Use them to the maximum capacity. Schedule cruise nights so they can make these rivers come alive. Schedule phone calls so they can have that one-on-one and really maybe ease any of the concerns that your clients may have about traveling. One of the really great ways to make sure that you have a targeted list is to have a client questionnaire. So if you have a list of clients that you have in your database, being able to stay engaged with them and maybe one day sending them out an email with a questionnaire, finding out what type of vacation is most attractive to them. What places have they most wanted to go that they haven't been? What's on their bucket list? What's most important to them on a vacation? The culture, the food, what is it? And really get a great profile of who this individual is. That way, anytime these sales opportunities come up, you really look like that expert when you haven't talking to your client, Susan, in maybe, I don't know, maybe a couple of years, but you see something that pops up and you have this note that Susan loves European river cruising. And now you can call her and say, hey, Susan, I remember one time you told me that you like European river cruising. I've got this great deal and I just want to share with you. So that personalized service really helps to really take it to the next level. There's a lot of different sales trends that I think have really changed, especially because of our current environment. And customers are seeking human connection more than ever. So do not hesitate from doing these presentations, from setting up cruise events. We call them cruise nights because that's what they used to be. Now we're in a virtual world, so we just call them virtual cruise events. So don't hesitate to set them up, even if it's only 1 or 2 people on the other side of that presentation. It is worth it because, again, people are seeking this human connection. Turn your video cameras on. Let people see you. let your personality shine through. Before we would always be able to appeal to those that lack of human connection by going to see a friend or a family or having a hug or a kiss. That isn't Everyone doesn't have that liberty right now, and so you really can make that come to life through this virtual world. So we encourage you to really embrace that. YouTube audience is changing. The YouTube audience is changing to 50 plus. The Facebook audience is changing. Before, there was a time when no one could be caught dead on Facebook. Now, if you're not on Facebook, people tend to look at you like you're odd. Use these because they're great free marketing resources. It is really the new marketing system. It is really emerging. So clients who really didn't see the value in having a travel advisor before right now can finally see why travel advisors are so important. They see friends and family who maybe have booked on different products who are having difficulties even getting contact with an operator. And they see how an advisor can be that liaison and how they can really go to bat for you. And so coming out of this, I think travel advisors are going to have a greater place in the industry than ever before. Own that. Make sure everyone knows that you're a travel advisor, your friends, your family, let them know who you are, let them know what products you feel most comfortable with, and allow it to just develop and fall into place from there. So you have your social media platforms. We just talked about Facebook. One of the tips I'd say about Facebook is really important is stay personable. Sometimes you have a tendency to feel like you don't maybe know exactly what to say about a product. So with Amawaterways, we have social media toolkits. We encourage you to use them, but we don't want your Facebook page to be a copy and paste of all of this content. Add some personal images in there. Even if you're sitting on your patio sipping wine, you can post that picture with a caption all about Amawaterways wine cruises and how you can't wait to enjoy this wine on a wine cruise versus on your balcony. And it really just helps to increase that engagement. So stay in front of your customers, stay connected, stay engaged. One of the other details that I love to point out about this one is when you're typing out these blog posts or using your social media platform, make sure you use longer copy. The reason why is that if anyone happens to search any particular word that is in that copy, your video or your post may come up, and that really can drive some of that traffic where you can actually get some of those new leads. One of the other best practices, I think, is creating some additional video content. This is something where I think a lot of people feel a little uncomfortable with. But with this new environment, we say, give it a try. You have an iPhone or maybe an Android. Why not record yourself talking about a particular destination or talking about why you become a travel agent, how you can't wait to get back to vacationing? Make yourself personable, make yourself reachable. Talk a little bit about why river cruising is so special. We found that doing these videos have made a huge difference. And you see all of the different views that are coming through. And it's something that wasn't as popular prior to the current environment of where we are right now.
Jazzmine, the
Yes.
great thing is this group right now is right in the middle of a video challenge, and each of the people who have decided to participate have been coming live inside of their respective groups for, I guess, a week now. And they're doing fabulous. So to add, if you're interested in river cruises, you guys have social media. I heard you say you have a kit. That'd be great for you guys to do a live on Amawaterways as a destination that you're interested in potentially taking a group.
Absolutely. Yeah. See, how perfect was this? Perfect timing. Thank you so much for adding that, Cindy. And so we were just talking about that social media toolkit. Here it is. So you're just going to log on to amawaterways.com. You need to go ahead and register for the travel agent portal if you have not registered already. Once you register, it will look like this list of topics right here, right down the middle. You're going to go down to the one that says social media toolkits. And as you can see here, you have river cruising with AMA, the Amawaterways overview toolkit, the Bordeaux toolkit, AMA, Magna. I mean, the list just goes on and on. So definitely something to use and take some of that content from there. And then also you can go over to the travel advisor suitcase. You can see it's one of the It says new travel advisor suitcase. You can click on that, and that takes you to these video blogs that Christine created about how to sell river cruising, the history of the company. That's another great training module for you to use. There's some blog content that you can repost. There's some video content that you can repost and utilize there as well. So we've already kind of talked about leads a little bit, but one of the main things I love to point out about this is to contact your local media. Right now, local media wants to talk to small business owners. They are desperate for content. Okay, so knowing that and knowing that you potentially have the content to provide to them, it is a fantastic way to get some additional exposure. So I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with ASTA, but ASTA put out a media guide, and it's how to contact your local media to get coverage for yourself for free. What better way to market yourself than to do it in a way that reaches so many, but then costs you nothing, right? I think that's really the name of the game. So definitely want to utilize something like that as well, and leverage that social media as in addition. So when we're talking about, okay, we want to start, you're saying to target and do these marketing things and these videos, but who do we target, and how do we even get these people to start listening? Your luxury ocean cruisers. Let's start there. I want to say that that's probably one of the best places to start in order to get someone to convert over to river. So your luxury ocean cruisers already, again, they know all about that luxury ocean cruising experience, and they've decided that they want to maybe have it on a little bit more intimate scale, or maybe even a higher end experience. So definitely going to be a great place to start there. Look for Pied Piper for groups. I heard a suggestion on a webinar a couple weeks ago, and I thought it was genius. Go on to YouTube, find different topics. Like, for instance, it's a quirky one, but cheese, right? Someone who is a fanatic on cheese. They have a ton of followers who subscribe, who comment, who really tap into these videos. That is a Pied Piper. People are already building their following, even without any of our help here in the travel industry. They have these followings based on these very specific topics. You can go to that individual and say, hey, how can we figure out how we can put cheese and river cruising together? Maybe we can stop along the way and go to some cheese shops and really cater this river cruise experience to you and your followers. And so one of the best ways to position that is with AMA. We said a group is only 5 cabins. Now, if you want to do a themed group, which is kind of what we're talking about here, then you just need 20 passengers. Okay, so 20 passengers, that's 10 cabins. If you can bring us 20 passengers, not only do you earn the TC, so basically your next cabin is completely free. That number 21 and 22 can go complimentary. So that could be your Pied Piper. Not only do you do that, but we also provide you with 2 custom shore excursions based on the theme that you provide to us. So if that theme is cheese, then we'll find 2 cheese excursions to work into the itinerary. If your theme is beer, if your theme is knitting, if your theme is art, whatever that theme might be, as long as you come to us as soon as you start your group and say, I want to sign this up as a themed group, this is my theme, then we will have this program set in place for you. It's a great way to say that there's some added value, and it's really a great way to get a Pied Piper to say you can get a cruise for free as long as you can bring along 10 other couples that would like to travel with you. So definitely a hidden gem there. Groups are lucrative and they're easy with AMA. We always say just give it a try. So what are some of the key takeaways? One of the main ones is to move into the river cruising business as quickly as possible. I say this because right now, ocean cruising is amazing. It has always been the #1 form of cruising, but now with a little bit of the cautionary feelings of some of the clients out there, ocean cruising may not be as attractive as it once was because of the large crowds. And that's what people are afraid of right now. And they want to be safe, and their security is #1 and most important. And so I think a lot of those, we really do believe a lot of those ocean cruisers are going to start looking at their cruisers. And when you're a cruiser and you love it. And so you want to find, well, how can I still get that cruise experience? How can you be back on the water? And you can do it by river, and you can do it and you can do it smaller. You can do it more intimate. You can do it even in a more immersive way. So get into that business. I think it's going to be the next big thing. As soon as this particular situation that we're in is over, I think we'll really see a huge boost in river cruising business, and not just in river cruising business, but river cruising with Amawaterways specifically. So I know last time I gave a leeway into wanting to do something like this, but it may be great, to do another webinar where we talk about the differences between Amawaterways and some of the competitors out there, so that you can have what I like to call some of that AMA ammo in case someone has any questions about who is this company that I've never heard of before. So definitely want to get into that.
That's a great idea.
So definitely something to consider. But again, getting to that business, and I said AMA's business, I think is really going to increase very well because of number one, our financial stability. I think we've proven that we can handle not being able to cruise for a year or two. And so we've been doing really great there because we have no debt on any of our ships. Not only that, but we are the only US-based river cruise company who is actually sailing right now. Now we are only sailing. We're not sailing for us, our Northern American guests, unfortunately, as much as we'd love to. Right now, we are only sailing for those who are German-speaking guests in Germany. But it's the fact that we are getting that practice in. We're keeping our ships healthy and safe, and we're getting those protocols really perfected so that the moment that the borders are lifted, restrictions are lifted, and people are ready to go, that we'll have our ships right there waiting to welcome people on board. Take a fam cruise. I already talked about that. Again, you can sign up for a wait list. Go on to amawaterways.com, log into the portal, and there's something there that says fam opportunities, and you can actually sign up for the wait list. Connect with your BDM often. Host as many virtual cruise nights as possible. You will not be bothering them, okay? That's one of the biggest things. I know sometimes you feel a little hesitant because you're new and you haven't sold the product before. Go on a limb, do what you can, put your full effort forth. Our BDMs are there, our sales team are there to support you in the best way possible. So don't ever hesitate to utilize them as your resources. Don't take rejection personally. Stay engaged and keep inspiring. You're going to get a lot of no's, but when you get that yes, that feeling of that yes, and being able to really deliver such an amazing experience that you are guaranteed is going to exceed their expectations. I think that's why we get into the travel industry, right? The commission checks, we talked about that commission checks. 5-figure commission checks are possible when we're talking about river cruising. We just talked about one booking with a standard BB, middle range cabin with that commission coming in at nearly $3,000. So definitely, a very lucrative way to make money. And when you sell river cruises, it has the best client satisfaction and really, truly the highest earning potential. So quickly, just wanted to share with you guys a couple of opportunities we have for you to join Amawaterways and some training. So we do webinar Wednesdays. It's every Wednesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific. So we can expect it every single Wednesday, and it's a different topic. And it's focused on, it's presented typically by the owners of the company and some of our executive team. And sometimes we have guests come on. So on the 23rd next week, it's going to be all about wine inspired groups. And so you'll be able to find out how to really have some, to strategize and how to make a wine group successful. The following week, we'll talk about river cruising in France. We've got 2 new river cruise itineraries there that we've added in France. And then we also have something called a sip and sail cocktail hour. This is something we also would encourage you to do. It's a softer sail, and it's consumer focused. So you can invite all of your clients to join here with us. You can join in. And what we do is we do a consumer facing product kind of product dive. And so this particular one is all about the Douro River, bringing the Douro River to life, Portugal and Spain. If you have anyone that was ever interested in that area, tell them, invite them, hey, you should join me on this Sip and Sell Cocktail Hour. We host it live on our Facebook page. We also host it live on our YouTube channel. And you can also watch it by registering through GoTo if we send you over that link as well. These are found, again, in the Travel Advisor portal. So go ahead and log in. On the left-hand side, you'll see Webinar Wednesdays, and you'll also see Sip and Sell Cocktail Hour. Now, I just mentioned about our dedicated sales team. So they're wonderful faces, as you can see here. We got our field sales team here in the US, and then we have our field sales team over there in Canada. So if you're able to take a look at this and see exactly where you're at, you got Andy over there in the Pacific Northwest, Kathy DiVincenzo kind of handling the Eastern region, Brandon, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. Steve's over there in the Northeast, Columba, New York, and New Jersey. Kathy Brock, a little bit in the South there. Erlan is in Florida. Richard Bravo is here in Southern California. Sebastian shares Florida with Erlan. Sheila focuses on Texas. Marcy has Arkansas and Missouri and Oklahoma. And then Brian's up there in Northern California and Northern Nevada. So these are your guys. If you want to do a cruise night, if you have any questions, you want to do any training, you want to become more comfortable with AMA, these are the ones that will help you and hold your hand the entire way.
This is a great opportunity as you guys start to plan your live schedules to have a guest speaker come on, just like I have Jazzmine here with us. You guys could have your BDM join you for a live Q&A session, maybe a little bit of introduction to the product and a sneak peek that you're going to be putting together a package, and then have her or he BDM be a part of your guest speaker panel. So all sorts of ways to get content as a part of your lives.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's pretty much what I put together for you guys. Awesome. I let's see. Oh, there's a question here.
Question here. Can you see the question panel? I'm going to go to the group.
I have one that was in the private chat from Sandra Morris. She said, how long is the cruise that you gave the example on? So I think you're referring to the commission example. And so that is for a standard 7-night cruise. Okay, so with Amawaterways, the bulk of our product, 90% of our product will be a 7-night river cruise. And then you have Africa, which is just 4 nights on the Chobe River. You've got some cruises that are 10, 11, or 14 nights. But again, your bulk, 90% of them will be 7-night river cruises. So that was a 7-night river cruise for 2 passengers coming in at about, what was it, 11,200 for that 7-night cruising portion.
So does it depend? Does it matter who your host agency is for that percentage, or it's flat 12% across the board?
So the 15% is our minimum commission structure. So that's the minimum. What I showed you is the minimum that you can earn. Depending on whatever host agency you may be with, they may have something that allows you to earn additional commission on top of that, depending on their contract.
That's great to know, because if any of you, I think, Sandra, you're independent. I think most cruise lines independent start at 10%. So to start at 15%, that's very competitive.
Right. In addition to the air at 12%, and you have all those components where basically everything you book with AMA, we'll take care of you on any of those components.
That's great.
Dr. Carla sent in one to the private chat as well.
Okay.
Is $10,000 an average price, and is that the price for 1 or 2? So I would say $10,000 is a great price to start off with for 2 in 1 cabin. So $10,000 for the cabin. If you're looking at a solo traveler usually has to pay the entry-level cabin price. So maybe a category E coming in at maybe $32.99, and then they pay an additional 50%. Actually, I'm sorry. It's actually only 25%. It's 50% when you get to the balconies. So if you're just doing one of those entry levels, and I will say one of the things you'll want to remember about River, there are always going to be outside cabins. There is no inside cabin concept, because there's always going to be something to see on both sides. Your room will always have, that some type of view. So yes, your solo travelers, entry level, 25% single supplement for your window cabins, 50% single supplement for your higher level cabins. So those come in a little bit more. But yeah, $10,000 is an average price, I would say, for 2 people in a cabin, for one full cabin.
And you had mentioned the last time, though, that you do have a couple of, I think on 2 of the ships, that there are a couple of solo. No, I remember that, because we do have Amanda who's on, and she specializes in solo travel. That's right? 2 ships that have solo.
B1. You got it. Yeah, so
Looking out
that's
for
a
Amanda.
great opportunity as well. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I'm seeing if there's anything else that is coming on through the chat, through the Facebook group. It doesn't look like any questions here, but like I mentioned, I Jasmine also iterated that as well throughout her speech to us today is about ways to use social media to sell this. I love the idea of having a cruise night. I love that sip and sail. I think that you guys should take that and utilize that. In my lives every Wednesday I do what are you drinking? So you could absolutely do that and spin that off yourself. And talk about, I know Dr. Carla, you've got your group trip. So if this is something that you're interested in, I think somebody else is also interested in a group trip, River. But I just, all of you guys, based on your particular niches, could do a wine focused themed river cruise. I don't think, I mean, unless of course you're anti liquor, but I don't know that I let any clients in that are anti liquor. So I mean, all of you guys drink, which is sort of a prerequisite. I'm just kidding. But all of you guys do a wine themed type of cruise. If you are going to do a group cruise or a group event as your moneymaker offer, that would be a really great thing, is to do a wine themed type of thing. So don't think of it just from like you had mentioned, Jasmine, the cheese person, who's that you guys have these groups, your own communities that you're growing and you're nurturing, and you literally could create a theme around that they could put together as a package, and excursions to complement that. So we've got a variety of different niches represented in this group, Jasmine. But like Amanda's solo travel, Dr. Carla is single doctors with PhDs or doctorate degrees and above. We've got, who else is on the line? Sandra's wedding destinations, and the Caribbean and Mexico. Jaylin is senior travel, senior retired travel. I mean, there's so many different niches, yeah. And river cruising definitely, because I do love the intimacy of the river cruise concept. I've never been on one, but like I said, as soon as you guys open, I'm in there like swimwear.
Yes, yes.
I was doing single, parents without children travel. I love that. I still love it. Traveling without children group.
And Cindy, I did want to add one more thing, because it's something I usually talk about, and I didn't mention on the presentation, but I think it's always a great soundbite. But it's the Kleenex analogy, because a lot of the times people are familiar with river cruising, but they may be only familiar with one company, right? We know that sometimes when people think of river cruising, they think of maybe a particular brand. And so I like to use the example of a Kleenex, because a lot of people say, well, we don't know about AMA. We don't know how to convert these people over from maybe Viking over to AMA. How do we do this? Because Viking has such a great presence. And so they say it's hard if someone comes in, they specifically ask for a Viking river cruise. And so we use the example of, say that I have a cold and my nose is running and I need a tissue. And so I say, hey, Sunday, do you have a Kleenex? And you're like, oh, yes, of course, absolutely. I have a Kleenex. And you go and you grab something, you come back and you hand it to me. And it is, I don't know, it's a puff tissue, right?
Soft tissue or whatever this brand is.
Or, it's just a paper towel, right? It's something. And I'm like, oh, no. Oh, no, I don't want that. I don't want that. I need Kleenex. Those only uses Kleenex. And that's usually never the case. That is usually never the case. So when you think about how that relates, so sometimes when people come in and they say, hey, I want a Viking river cruise, you have to ask yourself, are they specifically asking for that brand, or are they asking for a river cruise? Have they been enticed by this idea of traveling through these different countries, being on this river cruise ship, going to these quaint cities, immersing themselves into the culture, this new way of cruising they've never been exposed to before? They've seen this advertisement, and so they immediately associate river with Viking. It's almost synonymous in the same way that we can tend to associate Kleenex with tissue. And so that's where the qualification process comes in. And that's where I think it's just important to find out who that client is, what they're looking for, and then find a way to give your recommendations so that they can elevate and gain that additional trust in you as a travel advisor who's knowledgeable and who's able to bring them new products that they had no idea even existed prior to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love the analogy. That is a great analogy. Make sure there's not anything else. This was great, as always, Jazzmine. This was great. Thank you for blessing us with your time and your knowledge. I do feel, I personally, like I said, cruising is my specialty. And I will be going towards the river cruise line and taking the family and friends that line as soon as we open up. So I definitely am feeling much more knowledgeable about your product specifically too. So I'm excited. Any other questions before we go? We let Jazzmine get back to the rest of her evening. Someone said 3 couples did wine trip upstate. That's right. So Sandra, she was just upstate. She lives in New York, and she just did a upstate New York wine tour. So taking that on the river in France. I don't know, Sandra. You may become a Europe destination wedding specialist on the river. That would be awesome.
We do, we do like vow renewal programs on board on the Magna. So there's a couple of different things we can get into with that as well.
That's right. Sandra asked about the presentation. Is that accessible or is that not available?
Yeah, what I can do is upload this into a WeTransfer link and just send it over to you guys after we're finished. Yep, no problem. Absolutely.
Awesome. Any other questions before we go? You're welcome, Jazz. Yeah, Jazz says she's looking forward for a fam trip, so we need to add that on our group trip.
I'm like, give me out of here, please.
Jazzmine, it was great seeing you again. We'll have to coordinate part 3. Absolutely heard you on that one. I would be absolutely down for that. Ladies and anyone who sees us in the replay, do not forget to push #replay. Thank you for joining us live. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.